Welcome to this explainer. If you've been using AI for a while, you've probably noticed that what starts out as a completely magical time saver can quickly devolve into a really frustrating, repetitive cycle. Well, today, we are going to unpack exactly how to transition away from casual, messy prompt engineering and move towards systematic workflow engineering using ChatGPT. By the end of our time today, you'll know exactly how to manage your interactions so you can literally stop wasting your time, your tokens, and your credits. So let's dive straight into an incredibly relatable pain point. You ask the AI for a simple code fix, right? Or maybe a tiny edit to a document, and suddenly it breaks something else entirely. So you tell it to fix the new break, and it just undoes your very first request. It feels like you're playing an endless game of whack-a-mole. Well, there's actually a structural reason this happens, and it has absolutely everything to do with how AI manages its memory. Today, we're tackling this through a simple roadmap. First up, the context debt trap. Then, tokens, credits, and costs, the 5-second routing test, the context lifecycle, and finally, the AI maturity model. We're shifting you from relying on messy conversational memory to managing context state efficiently.
Okay, Section 1, the context debt trap. Let's look at how bad chat habits turn into massive headaches.
Take this real case study from our source material. Someone took a massive 288-file website, uploaded the whole thing, and basically asked the AI to fix conversion rates, SEO, navigation, and Stripe issues all in one single run. And, well, you can guess what happened. The project had 5 different governing documents that completely contradicted each other. The model followed one rule, violated another, and created this vicious loop. It fixed the navigation, which broke the layout. Fixing the layout brought back old bugs, which led to duplicated call-to-action buttons. Trying to fix the whole shebang at once without clear rules was an absolute disaster.
The crucial takeaway here is that patching a single conversation over and over builds up what's called context debt. Every single time you correct the AI in a long thread, it doesn't just neatly learn the right way. Nope. For every future request, it has to reread its original mistake, your correction, all the exceptions, and the final decision. You are literally forcing the AI to constantly reprocess old garbage alongside your new instructions. It increases the chance it picks the wrong rule, and man, it absolutely torches your resource limits.
Which brings us to Section 2, tokens, credits, and costs. Let's pop the hood and see why carrying all this context debt drains your budget so incredibly fast.
Here is a frankly shocking fact. On the current Codex rate card, output tokens cost roughly 6 times as many credits as input tokens. To put that into perspective, standard GPT 5.5 runs about 125 credits per million input tokens, but a whopping 750 credits per million output tokens. But here's the catch. Because of context debt, if you keep working in one giant messy thread, the input tokens start to completely dominate your costs. That's because that same bloated, messy context is being reprocessed over and over and over across every single turn. To stop throwing those credits away, you have to realize you might be using the wrong environment for the task. Standard chat relies on rigid plan limits. It's great for just talking things out. But the heavy lifting environments, ChatGPT Work and Codex, draw from a shared agentic credit pool. If you treat Work or Codex like a standard chat window and just feed them unresolved, messy context, they will drain those shared resources instantly. You need a rock-solid system to know when to use which environment. So how do we do that? Section 3, the 5-second routing test. You can immediately stop wasting tokens by using this simple 5-second routing matrix. It all boils down to one core principle. Think in chat, produce in Work, build and verify in Codex. It's really that simple. If you don't need to change any files, just use chat. If you need to synthesize all your context into a polished, non-code artifact like a research report or a slide deck, move over to Work. And if you actually need to change technical files and prove that those changes work, you route that straight to Codex. Just ask yourself these questions before you type a single prompt.
Moving right along to Section 4, the context lifecycle. If you take just one thing away from our time today, make it this exact blueprint.
This 5-step context lifecycle framework is exactly how information should systematically transform across your tasks. Explore, freeze, execute, verify, and learn. This isn't just about writing a slightly better prompt. It's about managing the actual state of your project from start to finish. Let's break each of these down.
Step 1 is explore, and we always do this in chat. This is where things can be a little messy, and that's totally fine. You clarify the problem, compare different strategic approaches, and surface your assumptions. But here is the absolutely critical rule. The output of this stage is a better defined problem. It is not the finished work. Do not try to produce your final deliverable in this exploratory chat window.
Because that leads us to the real game changer. Step 2. Freeze. Before you execute anything, you must convert the decisions from your messy chat into a structured, durable file, like a task.md document. Think of it exactly like a video game save point. This frozen artifact survives a 2-day weekend pause, it survives swapping to a different AI model, and it survives independent reviews. You lock in the target.
Next up, step 3. Execute. But listen closely. You don't do this in that original chat thread. You take that pristine, frozen task file and hand it over to ChatGPT Work or Codex. By loading only the frozen specification, you save a massive amount of input tokens because you are completely ditching all that back-and-forth exploratory chat history and all that accumulated context debt we talked about earlier.
After execution comes step 4, verify. Never, ever ask the AI that just did the work if it did a good job. I mean, it will almost always confidently tell you yes, based on its own internal assumptions. Instead, you conduct a clean evidence pass in a brand new thread. Verify the results strictly against your frozen specification and the resulting files, relying on hard, deterministic evidence, not the agent's memory.
Finally, we complete the loop with step 5, learn. When a failure pattern repeats, say the AI constantly messes up your layout when fixing the navigation, you extract a rule from that failure. Take that rule and place it into a durable governance file, like an agents.md file. This ensures your project instructions are automatically updated to prevent that exact same mistake from ever happening again.
All right, section 5, the AI maturity model. Let's see how adopting these practices completely transforms how you operate.
The source material outlines 6 distinct stages of AI maturity. Look, most people are stuck way down at stage 1, just trying to write better prompts. But as you adopt this workflow, you evolve. You learn routing, knowing when to choose chat versus Codex. You master task specification. You start externalizing your state into files. You demand verified execution, and ultimately you reach stage 6, where you're building fully automated learning systems where failures automatically update your governance rule.
Let this quote directly from the source material really sink in for a second. Prompt engineering improves one request. Workflow engineering improves every future request. That captures the exact mindset shift you need here. Prompt engineering is just a short-term patch. Workflow engineering? That's an investment in your infrastructure. By managing context, every future request becomes cheaper, faster, and wildly more accurate.
So I want to leave you with this to ponder. Rethink your very next AI interaction. Stop endlessly chatting in the exact same window until everything breaks. Start systematically managing your context. Remember the golden rule. Think in chat, produce in work, build in Codex. Take a look at the tasks on your desk right now. What messy conversation are you going to freeze into a solid artifact today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.